James Wiseman was the number 2 overall pick in 2020. He was drafted right after Anthony Edwards, a future face of the league, and right before LaMelo Ball, a rising young star in the league. That's the type of expectations that were placed on Wiseman, to be those types of talents. The Warriors had high hopes of him becoming a future cornerstone of the franchise, and he even showed early flashes of greatness in his rookie season.
You trust probably his basketball IQ. He's got 3 fouls. Oh my goodness!
Unfortunately, an injury took him out for 1.5 years, which severely delayed his development. Then when he came back, the Warriors had championship aspirations, so they couldn't afford to play him because of all his beginner mistakes. He was eventually traded out to a rebuilding team, the Detroit Pistons, where everyone thought he'd finally be able to blossom as a player. But sadly, not only is that not happening, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen in the future either, and that's where we find ourselves today. I'm rooting for Big James, but as of now, things don't look so great for him. Here's Cade Cunningham up top. As he catches the ball, he first fakes going left as if he was going to use the screen, but then immediately switches and attacks going right, eventually throwing a lob over to the roller Jalen Duren, who slams it down with authority. This is a pretty sweet highlight, but I bring it up because, look over here. James Wiseman is sitting and clapping on the bench. As a fan of Wiseman, I'm pretty sad about the way things are turning out for him. The trade to Detroit was supposed to unleash him. It was supposed to give him the opportunity to finally flourish on a team where he could make mistakes and grow as a player, something the Warriors couldn't afford because of Steph Curry's championship window. But sadly, he's barely even getting the opportunity on the Pistons, and that's a horrible sign. I mean, as of today, the team that plays out of Motor City is 2-19, which is the worst record in the entire NBA, and they're currently nursing an 18-game losing streak. And yet, even on a team like that, not only is Wiseman not the starting center, but he's fighting for backup minutes with Marvin Bagley III, and he's not winning that battle either. Here's a list of all Pistons players this year, sorted by how many minutes they're getting per game. Isaiah Stewart, who plays both the power forward and center positions, is at 31 minutes per game. Jalen Duren, the starting center, is averaging nearly 29 minutes per game. Marvin Bagley III, on the other hand, is at 18 minutes per game. And then there was James Wiseman, at number 14 on this list in terms of minutes. He's only averaging more minutes than 3 other players on the team, and the sad truth is, those 3 players are two-way contract players. James Wiseman averaged more minutes in both the seasons that he played with Golden State than he has this year with the Pistons. Why is this, though? I mean, he's 7 feet tall, nimble, and plays with finesse. Just why is the number 2 overall pick from 2020 barely getting any minutes on the worst team in the league? I mean, if you watch his highlights, he looks pretty good. Like, he's lethal in the paint, he's a good roller to the basket, he can attack the offensive glass for putbacks, and he can protect the rim. It seems like he could do a bit of everything that you'd need in a center. Then, when you look at his extrapolated 36-minute statistics, 17.5 points and 10 rebounds per game with a field goal percentage of 65% is pretty damn sweet. Heck, if you compare his 36-minute stats with Alperen Şengün, the best young center in the league, it's pretty comparable. Şengün is averaging more points, but Wiseman is far more efficient. So, just why can't Wiseman get minutes? Why is a man of his size and talent being regulated to just clapping on the bench? That's the million-dollar question. Well, after looking into the matter and hearing the perspectives of Pistons fans, I've concluded that it's because of 3 key areas. The first of these 3 is fouling. Wiseman just keeps putting his hands into the cookie jar and just keeps fouling. The Pistons game against Portland is a great example of this. Duren was out, so it was Wiseman's first opportunity of the season, and whether it was an illegal screen or his inability to just jump up vertically for the block, the whistles just kept pouring on for him. In that game against Portland, Wiseman shot 2 for 4 from the field, which is all right, but committed 4 personal fouls, was a negative 15 in the plus-minus department in just a total of 6 minutes. Yeah, guys, 4 fouls, minus 15 in just 6 minutes of game time. I like Wiseman, the dude works hard, but those aren't the best statistics. The second area that causes Wiseman to not be able to get minutes is his inconsistency in helping guards in the pick and rolls. Like, here's a good example. In this play, Wiseman actually sets a pretty good screen, but the problem is he didn't roll immediately to the basket. As a result, Alec Burks here didn't have a roller to pass it to and had to shoot a difficult shot over a lengthy defender, which didn't go in. Next, look at this play here where Wiseman is trying to set a screen. This is arguably the weirdest screen I've ever seen. I mean, it looks like Wiseman tried to set 3 screens there in the span of like 3 seconds. But yeah, his inability to consistently help his guards out in pick and rolls is another factor that's limiting his minutes on the floor. Finally, the third reason why he can't seem to stay on the floor is apparently because of a low basketball IQ. Many of the mistakes he's currently making today are the same mistakes he was making in his rookie year back when he was in Golden State. Whether or not that's not being attentive on grabbing rebounds, or committing silly fouls, or trying to shoot his way out of double teams, apparently he hasn't really fixed any of his fundamental mistakes, and is still the same player he was 4 years ago. Some people theorize that the reason he keeps making these mistakes is because he missed important developmental time because of the whole college scandal with Memphis, where he was just limited to 3 games. Perhaps if he played a full season there, the skill to set effective screens for pick and rolls and the ability to defend without fouling would have been drilled into him, which would have made him a much more effective NBA player. But still, at the same time, he had Nikola Jokic's former coach, Dejan Milojevic, there in Golden State helping him develop for years, but he still hasn't really grown as a player. I mean, not only is he still doing things on the court that causes him to be unplayable, but his ability to score from anywhere on the court except at the rim isn't too good either. Looking at his shot chart for the season, he's only an effective scorer when he's around the rim and doesn't help stretch the floor and isn't a threat from really anywhere else. His free throw percentage of 54 doesn't really help his case either. An important question that has to be asked now then is James Wiseman a bust? Is he going to be just another top lottery pick added to the list of busts that are littered across NBA history? Well, maybe, maybe not. The man's still just 22 years old. From what I've seen, he really only has to fix 2 simple areas in his game: the ability to set effective screens, the ability to defend without fouling, and then, with his natural ability to score around the paint, he'd be at the very least a serviceable center. I mean, his ability to block shots, his ability to score around the rim, his ability to quickly get up and down the court for someone his size is all still there. For James, it's the little things that's preventing him from getting to that next level. This is the last year of his rookie contract. Honestly, I hope he tanks his value a bit more so he could get picked up by Golden State on perhaps a minimum contract, then finally blossoms over the offseason into the center that Golden State needs.